Okay, we are rolling. Welcome to another video. My name is Arthur, and do you remember when you were first starting out in photography or videography and you didn't know necessarily what gear you should get, especially when it comes to lenses? With the abundance of information online, you're just not sure what to go for. Well, I've been there. I've made all the mistakes. Well, at least I think I did. And I feel like I've made the mistakes to a point where I feel like coming on to YouTube and essentially giving my top 3 lenses that I think will help you start a career and probably carry on at least 2-3 years into it. Depending on your budget, it might even be 5, 10 years, 15, 20. Will we even have like conventional cameras in 20 years? Who knows? I think that's a topic for another time. So yeah, without further ado, I think let's get into it. Let's go. As you're seeing, there's quite a huge pole situation going on with a microphone at the end. I bought it recently, actually yesterday. Set it up yesterday as well, in case you're wondering. And I just think it makes it a bit easier for me to have good audio and be able to move my hands just like this. Although I have to be careful because if I move them in a certain way, I could probably whack this thing and break the whole table setup. Hopefully not, but well, I guess you'll find out by the end of this video if it survives. Okay, enough rambling on. You saw the sequence. It was quite cool, right? Well, let's get into the first lens that I like and I think you should be getting. Some form of wide angle lens. Wide. Now, when I say wide, you say lens. I wrote that joke thinking it was funny. It's clearly not, so scrap that. When I say wide angle lens, I mean anything below 35 millimeters. Usually that's 14. 16 is quite a popular one. 18 is usually good for kit lenses. That's kind of like the starting point. Then you have 20, 24, 30, and 35 millimeters. So any lens in that kind of range would work. And reason why it's good is it's good for establishing a scene. You get to show the surroundings, and oftentimes it's used to show scale. And when it comes to photography, it's especially good for cars, landscape. You can even get some cool portraits depending on how you use the lens. And for those that like vlogging, obviously you're vlogging. Now, to give you some specific examples of lenses on Canon system like I am, most popular one is usually the 16 to 35. If that's out of your budget, 18 to 55 is a good compromise. Or you can just get the prime lens 16 millimeter that I've had before, and that works just as fine. The only thing you miss out on is the zoom. I myself currently, at this point in time of my life, wow, that's mouthful. I have a 24 to 70 lens, and before you get down in the comments and go, whoa, that's not a wide angle lens. Well, part of it is, so exactly. Don't hate the player, hate the game. It's a great lens. I did have the 16 millimeter before I upgraded, and that worked fine. So definitely consider a wide angle lens if you're starting out. I think that covers the first lens in my top list. So let's see the second one. Wow, you can see the whole thing. I never realized how wide whatever focal length is on right now. The second lens that I think every photographer should have at some point in their career, especially in the beginning, is the 50 millimeters, aka the Nifty 50, aka the Mighty Pancake. I don't think that's a thing, so maybe not the Mighty Pancake, although it could be a new thing. Hey, if you want to call it a Mighty Pancake, it could be a Mighty Pancake. Mighty Pancake. Mighty Pancake. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna stick. And it's actually one of the very few lenses that I can show you because I have it here and it's not being used at the moment. Quite cool, right? Now, when it comes to the 50 millimeter lenses, if you ask any photographer that's been in the game for a while, they'll tell you that that's a majestic lens that every creator should have at some point. Maybe not a majestic lens, that's probably for overly enthusiastic people like me, but they'll definitely say good things about it. It's either this or the 35 millimeters, which people really love. But the reason why I suggested this one is because that's probably the easiest one to get your hands on. I think it costs around $150 or 125 pounds for the British folk out there. Also, don't quote me on the conversion rates. I just give you a random number and you can probably just Google it. Or I could leave a link in the description and you can just see the price. Non-affiliate links. I'm not making any money from them because this is like my third video. But hey, you can check them out. And I guess I should kind of mention why this lens is good. Well, first off is it's really close to what our human eyes can see, and often it's a popular choice in cinematography. You can get really smooth shots without compressing the background too much and without having any distortion on the sides. Paired with an f1.8 aperture, you can get quite good low light performance. What else do I want to say about this lens? Funny I say that. I actually wrote down notes about why I think this lens is so good, so I think I should refer back to those and then come back to you guys. I have it on my phone. It's super affordable. It's sharp, which probably should have mentioned that earlier. It's extremely good in low light. I did cover that. And you get buttery bokeh because of the 1.8 aperture. I probably can't stress enough how affordable this lens is. I recently bought the 24-70 and I had to sell my kidneys for that lens. So this lens is definitely something you should consider, especially when starting out. And you'll be surprised how long it will be in your arsenal, unless you're one of the people that just doesn't like it and instead prefers to use other focal lengths. And that's fine as well. It's up to you what you do with your photography career. Almost forgot to mention that these are the kind of shots you can get with the 50mm lens. Now that you've seen the photos and you can tell why I like this lens so much, I think let's move on to the last lens. And by now, you probably already can tell where this is going, but if not, telephoto lens. Telephoto lens, aka tight focal range. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Or a zoom lens. No, zoom lenses are the ones you kind of zoom in and out, so that doesn't count. But yeah, a tight focal range is probably another way to call them. Yeah, a lot of technicalities. I just refer to them by focal length. You're probably thinking, dude, you just giving me these names and you're not giving me specific lenses. What's going on? Like misleading video. Before you head off, I'll give you some examples. I'll satisfy your needs. So we're talking 85mm, 100mm, and anything above. If you got money to spend, 70 to 200 is all you need. Now, for all of the other people, you're probably going for an 85mm lens or a 100mm lens, maybe even a 200mm lens, depends on your budget. And reason why telephoto lenses are that good is because of the compression that you get from photos. You've probably seen the photos with a really blurry background. You'll be surprised to know that they're not necessarily taken with low aperture. Oftentimes they're taken with really tight lenses, let's say a 200mm focal length or a 100mm focal length. And what that does is it brings the background and subject kind of to one plane, squishing them together. That's what I mean by a really compressed photo. And here's the kind of shots you can expect to get from this lens. Now, as you can see from these shots, the background is really blurry. And if you want to impress your client or a friend, you can take photos of anything and show it to them with that lens. They will think that you're some God's given gift and you're a professional photographer just by picking up a camera for the first time. Yes, trust me on that. And that's the third lens. Oh wow, that's a tight shot. The lens trifecta, or the ultimate creator kit, call it whatever you want. I hope you found this video useful and got a better idea of what you might be missing from your lens kit, or maybe you got a better idea of what you want to spend your money on next, because we all love to treat ourselves, right? My name is Arthur, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more good saucy photography content. I'm not sure about saucy content, but definitely good photography content. So until next time.